Okay, welcome to today's Tax Talk. I'm your host. I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. Thanks so much for joining us here today. You know, where else can you go and get all the tax information in one place every day? Nowhere else. So we're going to ask you to subscribe. But today we're going to talk about the IRS and not following their own rules, right? They have a lot of, but we'll talk about that. So let's start the show. So much for joining us here today. Appreciate you taking the time to come talk to us, see what we have to say. So today is the day where we're going to talk about the IRS and what they do, right? Because they don't follow their own rule. They don't often follow their own rules, right? They have a lot of rules for you and I. That ain't good. They have a lot of rules for you and I. Sometimes they don't follow those rules. You know, it reminds me of back in 2010, there was a big scandal about the IRS using money to lots of taxpayer money to amuse themselves, and they came up with this video. So, you know, I'm going to play this video because it's funny. So, this is an IRS video now. We all paid for this.
Of the Starship Enterprise-wide. Its never-ending mission is to seek out new tax forms, to explore strange new regulations, to boldly go where no government employee has gone before.
This is
Captain's Log.
Again, this is only one of them. They did several videos like this. They called them training videos, but they don't train anybody about anything. It's just about these are the bigwigs of the IRS.
To their leaders,
so let me keep
civilization has degraded
so you can hear some of the terrible
chaos
lines.
Rules over order. We've sent a landing party to assess the situation and report back. We hope we're not too late.
I'm receiving incoming reports from the landing party, but it's difficult to hear, Captain. There's poor reception.
Fascinating.
Can't you do something?
It's just, this is just terrible. I wanted to play this because it's just an example of the IRS not following their own.
It's better than McDonald's and only twice the price.
I've spent my per diem for the day.
I've already spent my per diem.
So anyway, I just wanted to play that
Coming in clear.
because we're going to talk about an article, and the article is about mismanaged IRS. Now the Inspector General of the Treasury came out with a report today that details.
Here now, Captain. Shall I open the channel?
The
yes,
terrible.
On screen.
You got the
Lieutenant
IRS.
Mackey, report.
That
Yes, sir.
details
It's worse than we thought.
terrible behavior, in my opinion, of the IRS. You know, they have a lot of rules for you and I. If you've ever been audited, you understand what I'm talking about, right? That details. They're very particular about what kind of when you're taking a deduction, what kind of receipts you have, what kind of they call it substantiation. So, what kind of substantiation do you have to support the deductions or your expenses, right? And if you don't have those that substantiation, well, you're not allowed those deductions. Yet, so this is why I think this is an interesting story about the IRS. Okay, so this is the story: IRS mismanaged, misreported technology purchases, the IG probe finds. So the Treasury Inspector General for the Tax Administration issued a report earlier this month focusing on the IRS Office of Information Technology. Now, this is in the news a lot because they're spending a lot of more money. They're talking about spending a lot more money in information technology and hiring a bunch more people. You know, they already have their budget. We already know their budget's $14 billion a year, and a big portion of that budget goes to the IT, information technology. It makes sense. I mean, they have statistics on everybody. Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit so we can see it a little bit better. Can we? There we go. Okay, so the report tracks expenses from late 2018 through mid 2020, finding the IRS may not have properly maintained sufficient receipt and acceptance documentation to support 6,502 invoice payments. Again, it's already monumental, right? Where would you go if this was you and the IRS was auditing you? Where would you be on this? The finding come amid a controversy over a major leak of taxpayer data of wealthy Americans, and the Biden administration has pushed to boost the IRS budget by $80 billion to hire new agents to collect more revenue. And both of these issues we've talked about on this show extensively. The IRS misreported, get this, $7,469,000 in federal procurement data system and potentially $893,000 more than the total award amount of approximately $139 million for 11 information technology service contracts. It goes on to state, further contracts were not charged to valid expense categories. Specifically, 959 contracts totaling $726 million were coded to invalid or no longer active material group code and federal supply code combinations in the integrated procurement system and the procurement for public sector application. The Inspector General report seemed to express frustration that the IRS was unable to provide all the necessary supporting documentation requested. Inspector General don't have the authority to subpoena. So that's, so they don't have the authority. So again, unlike the IRS, who has the subpoena authority, they can come after you. They get all the documents they want from you. But when the shoe's on the other foot, they don't want to play that way. They're not going to give up. It goes on to state further contracts were charged. I already said that. The Inspector General report seemed to express frustration. So in October 2020, the investigators became concerned with the pace and the limited number of documents the IRS had provided and had a series of meetings with IRS officials. Despite these efforts, we continued to experience delays. In total, we gave the IRS more than 3 months after our initial request to provide the supporting documentation for our sampled invoice payments. In spite of these efforts, the IRS was able to provide only a limited number of documents for our sample of invoice payments. So again, when it's your turn, you will be severely punished for not having the documentation. Not to include that you won't get the deductions, and you might be brought up on fraud. On these fraud charges, which, as I mentioned, there's 75% penalties on all money that you owe for fraud. So this is where we get to the IRS. That they seem to have rules for themselves, but not. That video that I brought up in 2010 was for a training seminar that they held, where they spent lavishly on expensive hotel rooms, and they did that video just for themselves, for those that were in charge. They thought it was fun, and so they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to produce these videos that they only used at this one seminar that they gave, where again everybody came, and they what a great vacation for everybody. Okay, so. The next story I wanted to talk about, just want to touch on, is your IRS refund, because this is the biggest. This has been the biggest story now for many weeks, months, right, since April and before, because many people who are getting a refund, they ask for the refund, way before the April 15th deadline, and oftentimes the IRS will send the refund before the deadline is over, right? Because if you file early, you'll get your refund early. So this taxpayer filed her taxes in early May because of the deadline was extended. We got our state return back within a couple of weeks. Refund, she says return, but I think she means refund. She figured there would be a delay with the federal return. We're patient. We still are, but it got to be the beginning of July, and I started checking into it, trying to find out where's our tax return. And again, I think she means refund. Where's our tax return? It's a question that your stories team has received a lot. A representative from the IRS Public Affairs Office said the agency understands the frustrations people have and are asking for patience. In addition to traditional returns, the agency has had to process stimulus payments, child tax credits, and more unemployment tax refunds. According to the IRS, as of April 13th, it had 11.1 million unprocessed individual returns. So they haven't even been processed yet. And again, I'm finding this in my own practice, that things are still very far behind in the IRS. According on its website, the agency says COVID-19 has caused delays in their services, including live phone support, processing tax returns, answering mail, reviewing tax returns, even if the returns were filed electronically. You may not have gotten your refund yet because your return includes errors, is incomplete. And I like the way they do that because they kind of flip it back at you and say, well, you haven't done your return. You didn't get your refund because you didn't do something you're supposed to do. And they're already acknowledging that it's because they're behind in everything. They still haven't even processed a bunch of returns. Those returns they have yet to process, they can't know if those returns have errors in them, right? How could they know? The IRS asks that you don't file a second return or contact them about the status. Yeah, don't contact us about the status. We have too many phone calls that we won't answer. The IRS will contact you by mail when or if it needs more information to process your return. You can track your refund at irs.gov/refunds. You can, and I suggest you go there and try to track it. But if it hasn't been processed, it's not going to show up there, right? It won't show up at that page because it's not in their records. They don't have it, and so they cannot show it to you. Okay, so anyway, I think that's we're going to, again, just because the IRS isn't coming after isn't very good with their own records or what they do, doesn't mean the IRS is not going to come after you, right? They're coming after you. They've been, and I have to say that now over this weekend we got stacks and stacks of IRS mail. First time in 18 months that we gotten so much mail from the IRS, and that just tells me that their automated process is back up and running, and that if you owe the IRS some money, expect forms in the mail. They're coming. And again, if your excuse is, hey, I don't have the time, I can't find it, that's not good enough. Again, I think we should hold the IRS to a similar or higher standard than they hold us to. It just makes sense. Hard to get down on people for doing something that you yourself, I'm talking about the IRS, don't do, right? So, and if you ask for mercy, you don't receive any mercy. There's no absolution, right? They come after you. So I just don't think it's right, and that's why I wanted to talk about this. The IRS and their own way, again, wasting money. That I like that 2010 video because it captures it all: the goofiness, the irrelevance, the extravagance that the IRS will spend for themselves and their own entertainment, but won't answer your telephone call when you call, won't process your return when you're looking for your refund. I just don't think it's fair, and I think we should hold their feet to the fire. My own opinion. Now, I'm going to ask you, if you like this information or you like the show, subscribe, share. If you subscribe, if you're on YouTube, subscribe. Put in the comments that you subscribed. I'll respond. Okay, I want to respond to all the comments. So put in the comments that you subscribe. Thanks so much for subscribing. Pass it on. Pass it on to others that they might like this, and so they can subscribe, and share. So and now remember, if you're having an IRS problem and you need to fight the IRS, the best thing to do is arm yourself with information. And that information is best found in my book, Deal with Your IRS Problems Today. You can get a free copy of my book at freeirsbook.com. Again, freeirsbook.com. I'm going to ask you to pay a small shipping and handling fee, but I'll pay for the book and all that's inside and the free reports that are inside and all that. Now, I have been working on the site to give you an option not to get a book, a hardcover or a hard copy book, because it's a soft cover book, but to give you a free book, digital, where there isn't any cost to put it up. So I'm working on that. I'll let you know when that comes through. So I want to thank you all for joining me here today. I appreciate you taking the time, and I'll be back here tomorrow. Let me put my glasses on so I can see, and I'll be back here tomorrow tomorrow's Crypto Tuesday. So make sure you join us for Crypto Tuesday. I have a lot of great information to share with you about crypto and the tax implications therein. So again, thanks so much, and we'll see you tomorrow.